Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got the on-track series video for the British Tier 10 tank destroyer, the FV4005. So this is the British turreted tank destroyer on-track video. So, if you've not seen the on-track series before, it is basically we play through Tier 5 to Tier 10, show off the tanks that you might not always see, give you a sort of, template build for the tanks that you can go out and play it and then adjust it to your playstyle, and just give you a bit of what these tanks are about. So, we're starting off at the Tier 5, as always, and this is the Archer. Now, the Archer, it's a funky tank, because it goes backwards faster than it goes forwards. And that's because, I believe it's a Valentine chassis, with the 17-pounder gun slapped on top of it, facing backwards. So when you're driving backwards, naturally, you're actually driving forwards. But, in the game, you're driving backwards. So when you have to get the gun on target, as you've just seen me do, you have to swivel and get back to facing forwards, which is actually backwards for the Valentine chassis, but in terms of driving, is actually forwards. Yeah, work it out in your brain, it's awkward. It's an awkward tank, but it has a very, very nice 17-pounder gun, as you're seeing. This gun is fabulous, but it has 0 armour as well. That is a problem for the Archer, that you don't really have any armour. And if you do meet derp guns, they tend to be in the position where they will one-shot you half to 3/4 of the time because they'll set you on fire, which is not a great time. But you do have the same gun that you will be running on the Achilles, which is the Tier 6, with 200 penetration and 244 pen on the premium rounds. Like I say, this gun is the strength of the tank. It's absolutely fabulous. You also have pretty damn good camo at 303 meters of steel concealment, which I believe you get down to a really quite a low level. In the Archer, you can get it down to about 227 meters of steel concealment, maybe a bit more than that. And that means that if you abuse camo and take yourselves into really good tank destroyer spots, which is what you want to be doing, you don't really want to be frontlining too much in the Archer, you will have a great time with this tank. So what do I run in terms of recruit on the Archer? I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Trap Mechanic, Steady Aim, Run and Gun, Camouflage Expertise, and Silent Driving. Silent Driving to be able to keep my camo as good as it can be on the move. Camouflage Expertise to maximise the camo. The Run and Gun and the Steady Aim to make sure that the gun is 10% more accurate and better at firing on the move, so it just keeps the bloom down a little bit while you're moving. And then Trap Mechanic, because I don't have a turret. Well, you have your gun traverses, but you don't have a turret, so I want to be able to actually make sure that if I get my tracks blown off, they get back on track very, very quickly, and I can get going. And then in terms of equipment, I run the camo net, the advanced loader, and optics. Optics to be able to spot for myself, the camo net to be able to make the camo as good as possible, and the loader, again, to make your DPM 10% better. Now, with that setup, we do get up to 461 meters view range, which is quite nice. It's not the best, but actually, for a Tier 5 tank destroyer, actually, to be fair, that's very, very good. And that means you can actually spot for yourself, and you can abuse the camo pretty damn nicely, too. And as you've seen in this game, like, the gun starts to rack up damage very, very quickly. The penetration is gorgeous, and you can trash so many tanks that you face. We've got this Type 95 that's going after us. He breaks the engine. Thankfully, we just get the shot in to shut him down, and that is something that does happen with the Archer a lot, is that the engine gets blown out a lot as well. So just be careful when you're playing this tank. But we finished that game with 5 kills, 2.5k damage, the Ace Tanker, the High Caliber, the Ranger Medal for killing 3 light tanks or more, which is always good, 1778 base XP. Really nice game for the Archer there. It's a pretty simple tank destroyer. Go take a bush location, or go take a passive tank destroyer location, and then try to use your camo to the best of your ability and work people over with the really quite a nice gun that you've got. So you don't really have to worry about penetration, because you will pen everything that you're going to face with that gun pretty much, especially if you load gold. 244 pen at Tier 5 is absolutely filthy. Yeah, you just got to watch out for the fact that you don't really have much armour, and that your engine gets blown out all the time, because naturally that's the rear of the tank that they're shooting at. If you were thinking about the way the chassis is positioned and you're facing them to try and shoot your gun. So your engine is going to get knocked out most of the time. You've got to be very, very careful of that. And derp guns, be very, very careful of the derp guns. And just drive backwards, because that's where you're going to get the speed. Because what you saw in that game was me driving backwards for the majority of it, going at 32 kilometers an hour, as opposed to driving forwards, which was only 12 kilometers an hour. So now we're on to the Tier 6. which is the Achilles. A tank that I do kind of like, but it can be a bit awkward. And why do I like it? Well, because this gun is fabulous. Again, this 17-pounder gun that the Achilles gets is a wonderful gun. The gun is great. The penetration at 200 and 244 is beautiful. The accuracy hits. It's just got a very slow turning turret. The camo is pretty damn nice for the Achilles as well, though, which is something that goes for it. But you've just got awkward gun depression, and that is a problem for the Achilles, that if you're on a ridgeline like you're seeing here in front of, well, right in front of your eyes, it can get a little bit awkward for the old Achilles, because you do only have, I think it's 5 degrees of gun depression, which means working a ridgeline with the Achilles is horrid. And again, it's definitely a second-line tank destroyer, because, you know, the Achilles is a Wolverine, but then they've slapped the British 17-pounder gun on it, and... or is it a Jackson? It's one of the two, anyway. And yeah, you've got the 17-pounder gun on it. The 17-pounder gun is delightful. You've got good DPM. Because, I mean, with the setup I've got, you've got 2.8k DPM. And you've just got to make sure that this gun depression at 5 degrees is not too awkward for yourself. You do have to play more passive. You do have to be... Again, you are a tank destroyer, so you have to be a little bit more careful with how you use your tank. Use your camo to your best of your abilities, so you get down to about 230 with the setup I've got, and then farm to your heart's content. So, in terms of a crew on the little Achilles, out on all the other tank destroyers that are in this line from now on, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Camouflage Expertise, Silent Driving, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun. Now, I run all of the gun perks on this tank and all the other tanks now to make sure that the guns are as good as they humanly can be. I run Camouflage Expertise to make sure that the camo is as good as it can be, and the Silent Driving to make sure I can keep the camo while moving, so that I can move from position to position with relative safety of not getting spotted. And it really does help to do that. I don't run Trap Mechanic because I do like to maximise the gun and then also maximise the camo as well. It's down to you how you set it up. You might feel like the guns are really good on the next set of tanks, so therefore you might want to change it out and put Trap Mechanic on instead, stuff like that. But it's down to you, and it's just a template of how you might want to run the tanks in general. And in terms of equipment on the Achilles, I do run the Advanced Loader, the Camo Net, and Optics. The Camo Net, because I do want to make the camo really, really good, because you can get it down to 230 meters of still concealment, which is fantastic. The Advanced Loader to make sure the DPM is as good as it humanly can be, because you can get it up to that 2.8k DPM. And then the Optics to be able to spot for myself, because with the build that we've got, you do get your view range up to 473, which means with the fantastic camo you also have, you can outspot quite a few tanks, and then again you can use distance to your advantage. You can use that as a strength of your tank. So as you can see so far in this game in the Achilles, we're up to 1900 assistance with 1795 damage. We've tried to pop a blind shot at that guy down there, but unfortunately didn't damage it, but we did track it. So we're just trying to get some more blind fires into him. There we go, we do finally pen him. Hopefully get another shot in, but unfortunately they have managed to get back. This position here was a position that I was always going to take in something like the Achilles, because from this ridgeline I can defend the base quite easily, and I can attack the guys that attack through the K-line into the town if I want to. Naturally, there is no base to cap, so there is no base to defend technically, but it's a very, very good position for getting spots out and for getting the shots across everywhere. So what we're trying to do there is we're trying to destroy the building cover a little bit in case they do get... Because what the guy's been doing is at A7, been able to get up on top of the ridgeline, but then staying hidden behind the destructible cover housing, which means that I've not been able to get a shot at them. So what I've been doing is just basically knocking it down so that the next time they were to get spotted, it wasn't going to be too much of a problem. We try and get a shot into the T26E5, though, as he was pulling back, but unfortunately we just took a little bit too long to get the gun down, because again, 5 degrees of gun depression on this tank is horrid. It is really, really horrid, and it makes it very, very awkward to use at times in the Achilles. You really have to adjust and know where you're going to put yourself in this tank so that you can at least use the gun. So far, we are 9-7 up. So there's 7 tanks left on the enemy team with 5 tanks, 2 artillery. We know where the 2 artillery are because we can see their shell tracers flying above the map. But they have tank destroyers. They have 5 tank destroyers left. This is a very tank destroyer heavy game. And the likelihood is they're probably camping towards their base or on the ridges along the 1-2 line. So this is why we have moved up. And there we go, we move forward, we spot the Broom Bear, and he gets absolutely deleted. We get a shot towards him because I was hoping that my really good camo firing through the bush at the Broom Bear might end up saving me from getting spotted. I might have to farm it, but unfortunately that was not the case. But we did spot it and it got absolutely deleted, and we'll take that assistance every day. We're up to 2.7k assist with 2,092 damage. And once again, we know where the artillery is. We're just being very, very careful because there's tank destroyers out there that could probably end our game in 1 or 2 shots, and we don't want to get, again, too aggressive too early, because this tank is not really the tank you want to be aggressive in, if I'm 100% honest with you. We did spot the Jagdpanzer IV. He gets himself blown up. We're now against the Yahtzee. It's like, hello, Mr. Yahtzee. Yahtzee! We get the shot into him on the move, which is beautiful, but he gets down into the low ground. Wow, nearly flipped ourselves there. Great driving, me. Great driving. I mean, that was pure skill. Did you see that? We meant to land on one track and then just sort of, slide a little bit. We meant to do that. The enemy team now has 4 tanks left, obviously 2 artillery, the 2 TDs. We've got the premium ammo loaded so that we can go through the Yahtzee, because 200 pen is not going to do the best against that guy. We have spotted the ISU, though. That was the guy we were mainly being careful from, because again, he could destroy us in one shot. We get a shot into him and he gets shut down by the SU. It's like, where's this Yahtzee gone? Why can't I see it? Well, the Yahtzee does have very, very, very good camo, so the likelihood is still there. There he is. He gets spotted. We know we can take a hit from the Yahtzee, but we're trying to reverse out, which we don't have a very good reverse speed, which get a shot to the lower plate, and we bounce, but he bounces. How lucky are we? We should have taken a hit there and probably lost our engine and get set on fire, because that is something, again, that does happen for the poor old Achilles, just the same as the Archer, that if this thing gets shot in the back half of the tank, you will get your engine damaged or broken quite easily. It happens all the time. It's just something to be very, very aware of, that it does happen. And also fires happen a lot as well. Now we've managed to get us up on top of this ridge line. We've got some lovely shots into that little Hummel, which is always good. Put ourselves up to 2.8k damage. It's like, no, let me get there to get a shot into this M44. Oh, he gets set on fire. We do get a shot in, though. We'll take that. We get a shot into the M44 there, where it didn't look like we should have done. And finished the game with a really nice total for an Achilles in a bottom tier matchup. We finished with the 1 kill, 3,029 damage, 3,564 assistance. Ace Tanker, the Confederate, 2.3k base XP. A really great game for the Achilles there in a bottom tier matchup, which is always a beautiful thing. Like I say, it's a pretty good tank destroyer. It's just you have to know your limits in this tank. You have to put yourselves in more passive locations. Put yourselves in positions where you can control the engagement more than the enemy team can, and then just use your camo to your advantage and just keep the gun working. Because naturally you can't really trade too much. You don't really have any alpha. It's just you've got to keep firing and farming with it. So now we're on to the tier 7, which is the Challenger. And the Challenger is I believe, the Comet hull with the big ass turret on it and a beautiful little 32-pounder gun that they have on this Challenger. So the 32-pounder gun that the Challenger has was never originally on the Challenger in this game. Originally, the best gun you could get was the 17-pounder Mark 7, which was the gun from the Comet, and had, the 200 pen 244. It's a pretty much similar gun. Again, it was the same as what you got on the Achilles. That gun is really good for the Challenger, because again, you've got the good pen, but you also have the really fast rate of fire, and with that gun, you also get a fully traversable turret, which you do not get with the 32-pounder gun on this Challenger. But the 32-pounder has 220 pen, with 252 premium APCR pen, and gives you 280 alpha, and it definitely makes you feel more like a tank destroyer in terms of having some alpha to trade with, right? Which is very, very nice. This 32-pounder is a very, very nice gun. It can be a little bit derpy at times, though. And it's something to bear in mind that this gun does like a good miss sometimes. You do have to be very, very careful. Being a Challenger, you do also have basically no armor, which, again, is a sad time. And it's not a Comet chassis, it's a Cromwell chassis. forget me. But yeah, it's... The 32-pounder is a very, very nice gun on it, generally. I like the 280 Alpha. The 280 Alpha is nice. The penetration is great. Your shell velocity is 878 on the standard AP with 1,098 on the premium APCR. So bear in mind that if you fire the APCR, your shells will travel far faster, which means you don't have to lead quite as much. And you do have to give a good amount of lead with the AP to be able to hit targets at distance. Now, the one thing to bear in mind is that this turret has 50mm of armour on the front. 50mm of armour on the front means that derp guns, yep, derp guns, you know it, derp guns will love you, and they will basically delete you. So things like dreadnoughts firing HE, things like KV2s, T49s, which you'll see as well, they will go through your turret front, and they will pen you, and it's not a good time for you in your challenger. So just be very, very careful of derp guns, yet again, like in all of these tanks, and you will have a pretty decent time in the tank. So in terms of equipment on the Challenger, yet again, I run advanced loader, the camo net and optics, same crew as I went through in the Achilles, and that is because you can get your camo down to 243 meters of still concealment, which again is very, very nice, helps you to be a bit more stealthy as a tank destroyer, and then you get yourselves up to 486 meters of view range too, which is glorious. Your reload gets knocked down to 5.69 seconds, which means you do have over 2.9k DPM. You have to bear in mind, though, being a turreted tank destroyer, that the Challenger turret is very, very slow to traverse, so you really have to, again, think ahead where your gun is pointing, where you're going to be facing the enemy tank, and yeah, you should hopefully have a decent time with the Challenger. I don't mind this tank. I think it's a pretty decent tank. It can be a little bit frustrating at times, like I say, with the gun handling, but for the most part, you can have a pretty good time with this tank. And yeah, it's pretty decent. So in this game so far, in a bottom tier matchup, we're up to 2.4k damage. We've got the artillery in front of us. It's like, no, don't do it. Don't do it, Piggy. I don't want to die yet. I'm having a good time. We're on 3 kills with 2.7k now. The Piggy is fired, which gives us the opportunity to go forward, get the shot in, and now we know that we're definitely going to kill him if we were going to get the chance, but the I6 Black ends up shutting it down. 3k damage. It's 4-4. This game is on a knife's edge. We are also a one-shot, which means we have to be careful in this Challenger. The one thing that you've noticed me doing is I don't quite play as passively as I might do in an Achilles or in the Archer, because I generally can play this tank a little bit more like a medium tank, because you can play it a little bit more like a medium tank, because it does have that mobility and it does have the 10 degrees of gun depression, stuff like that, but you do have to be careful because of the limited turret traverse, because you, like I say, you do not have a fully traversable turret. It only goes 6 degrees to the left and 60 degrees to the right, so yeah, you got to bear that in mind. But like I say, if you put the 17-pounder gun on, you will actually get the fully traversable turret. So our 257's gone against this M103, so what we're going to do is be the support tank with this 257. Every time that M103 is going to fire, we're going to try and help him out by getting a shot in. But he's also in a position which is kind of awkward. Oh, that's his rear. Okay. We get a shot into the back drive wheel. I was hoping to track and pen that as we went in, but unfortunately we didn't quite make it. We do get detected there, and I was thinking, what was that? Okay. But we're still farming this M103, helping this 257 out as much as we can. We did get the tracking shot in. We get another shot into the side of that M103. And here I was fully expecting the light tank in. The light tank gets the shot into us. We finish him off. That was me thinking, that light tank's coming now. He's going to go for me. We've managed to reload in time to shut him down. And we get rid of the tier 8 light tank. Now there's just the Jagdpanther. Well, not just the Jagdpanther left. There's still a medium tank somewhere. An Object 416. It's not a very good tank to be left alive, because that guy will have pretty decent view range, but he also has unbelievably dirty camo. And because we got detected when we were facing the M103, I was kind of like, was that the 416 looking at me from over there? No, there's the 416. He's come up behind us, got here a little bit too late for the party. We get a shot into his upper plate, pen him. He missed his shot on the move, and thankfully the 257 shuts him down and finished the game with, again, a really nice total for the Challenger there. In a bottom tier matchup, we finished with 4 kills, 4.2k damage, 443 assistance, the ace tanker, the high caliber, the sniper, the 2.1k base XP. A really nice game for the Challenger there in a tier 9 game, although there's only like, what, 2 or 3 tier 9s. But yeah, that was the Challenger. You can play it more like a medium tank, or you can play it more like a tank destroyer. You'll have a pretty good time with it, no matter how you play it like that. And it's a pretty decent little tier 7 tank destroyer. But now we're on to a favourite, and that is the Charioteer. The Charioteer has always been a beautiful tank since they buffed it. And what do I mean by that? Well, they buffed it and I mean a very long time ago. And they buffed it the same as they buffed all of the British turreted tank destroyers, and that is giving them gun depression, because they all used to have 5 degrees of gun depression. The 4005, the Charioteer, the Conway, all had 5 degrees of gun depression, and they were all exceptionally awkward to use with 5 degrees of gun depression. But then they buffed them all and gave them all 10 degrees of gun depression a very, 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 very long time ago. And the Charioteer from then on became an absolute favourite, because 390 Alpha at tier 8 was always wonderful, and then you have the 210 pen 480 Alpha Hesh rounds, which yet again were absolutely beautiful. Add that you've got, 52 km/h top speed, which you'd hit quite easily, with fantastic camo rating. The camo on this tank is beautiful. And you can get your view range up to about 473 metres of view range too. It meant that I really enjoyed this tank, because you could take some aggressive spotting location and aggressive bush locations, and because you had such good camo as well, you could farm out, just like you're seeing. That poor Tiger Shark had absolutely no hope. We managed to farm all of his hit points, and he couldn't do anything about it. Unfortunately, we do get spotted though by the Barask, and that's because he's YOLO'd down to a position where we weren't covered in a bush for him. But we're now using our mobility to get away. In terms of equipment on the Charioteer, I do run the advanced loader, optics and camo net again, like I have on the previous two, and the same crew that I ran in the Achilles yet again. That's the setup that I run. It's just basically the template setup for a tank that's got good stealth and a nice gun. It's always a good way to start it, and then, if you play the tanks and think, oh no, I want to make the aim time better or something like that, you can change it how you want to kit out the tank. So yeah, the 210 pen Hesh is very, very nice, but you do have 268 penetration on the APCR rounds, because it is the same gun from the Centurion 7.1, and that is absolutely beautiful, because you will pen most things you're going to face. The only real things you're going to struggle with are the super heavies from tier 10, and yeah, you can use the mobility and the fantastic camo to keep flanking and then keep spanking with this gun, which is always great. And with the camo being so good at 234, so you just have to abuse the camo. Again, be that tank destroyer, play that supporting role, get those bush locations in, and then just, again, spot through the bush, pull back so that the bush is not see-through anymore, and then you'll get the max camo out of it. And as you saw with the Tiger Shark, you can then just eviscerate whatever tank is trying to look at you, and you can just keep the shots flying. So we're on this game on Westfield in the Charioteer. Beautiful map for it, because again, we can use our pretty good camo, we can use our pretty good view range, and we can use our fantastic gun to our advantage. We can try and get some assistance, we can try and get some damage out, and as you're seeing, it's going pretty well so far. We're up to, it's 1511 currently, we're up 2.5k damage with 800 assistance, and this is something that caught me out here in the Charioteer. I fired at the Bayer. I didn't expect that Stark was still over there. I thought I might have spotted it, or my friends might have spotted it, and I didn't expect him to still be there, so he got shot into us, but thankfully the VK7201K shuts him down. Now there's a T54E2 in front of us. We get the shot through his lower plate, load Hesh, because we can Hesh the lower plate of the T54E2, and that's what I want to do. Plus we can Hesh that Leopard over there, which is glorious. The Death Star starts coming over though, and he starts getting shots fired into him. So we're getting some spotting for that. We make sure we get this gun aimed in on the Leopard 1. 512, that's the Hesh, beautiful shots. And we're going to get the Hesh into this Leopard 1 again, hopefully, and we shut the Leopard 1 down. That's a tier 10 medium tank shut down by a tier 8 tank destroyer, always glorious to do. Now we've got shots towards the 780, we can't quite get the shot into him, but we try and get the shot into the T54E2, and we miss that shot there. Now we've got some shots into the side of the Death Star. This is kind of where I wish I had the Hesh loaded. This is one of those things where you might decide, you know what, I want the ammo swapper. I want the ammo swapper instead of, I don't know, optics, or instead of the camo net, and I want the ammo swapper so I can switch between the APCR and the Hesh. It's always an option, because the Hesh is a beautiful round to use, and it's glorious for things like this artillery, which is like, hello, Mr. Artillery, I'm ready to shoot you, my friend. And unfortunately, Just as we pull the trigger, the 7201K says, "No! No, sir, you are not allowed to do damage to that artillery. It's mine." And unfortunately, we didn't get the shot into that guy, but it is what it is. Finished the game with a really nice total for a tier 8 tank destroyer in a tier 10 game. 4 kills, 4.5k damage, 2.5k assist. The Halonen's medal for killing 3 tanks 2 tiers higher in a tank destroyer. Let's say that, what? 7k combined, 2.5k, well, 2057 base XP. We'll start again. 2057 base XP. There we go. In a tier 10 game. A really great game for a tier 8 in a tier 10 game. It's always nice to have that sort of game when you are bottom tier. And the Charioteer is one that is pretty damn good for doing it. And now we're on to the third replay? This isn't the third replay. This is the 5th replay. Yes, it's the Conway. We're at tier 9. The Conway has 2 choices of guns. A meme gun or a 120mm gun that is the same as what you get in the Tortoise. So the 120mm gun is the one that I would say is probably the best gun for the tank. It's probably the gun that is best to show off for you guys in general, because the gun is phenomenal. The accuracy on this gun is phenomenal. The DPM is phenomenal. The penetration is great. The shell velocity on the premium rounds is phenomenal. It's a absolutely amazing gun. The 120mm British gun that you get on the Conqueror, the Conway, and the Tortoise. And obviously on the Tortoise and the Conway, it has phenomenal DPM at 4.2k on the Conway. It's absolutely filthy. You can trash tanks so quickly in this tank with this gun. They won't know what's hit them when it's flying. Add to that, you do get 10 degrees of gun depression, which means you can use ridgelines really easily. You don't really have any camo, but I do try and still help it up if I can, because that's just what you want to be doing if you can in a tank destroyer. I mean, if you were to run the big gun, because that's the thing, you do have a 5.5-inch a BL 5.5-inch gun, which has 600 alpha and has very good HESH rounds. I think it's 70 alpha on the HESH for 200 pen. That gun is a meme, and it's great, but you do lose the fully traversable turret, and obviously usually DPM, and the gun is very, very derpy. So, like I say, it's the meme gun, it's the fun gun, but this is probably the most competitive gun and the best gun to take, this 120mm gun. And like I say, you do lose that fully traversable turret as well. By the way, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. We actually hit that blind shot, which is beautiful. But yes, the 120mm gun is the one I'm showing because that is the one to take. If you were to run the big gun, the BL 5.5-inch, you're going to be running the ammo swapper. That's what I fully recommend. If you're going to be running the big gun, run the ammo swapper so you can switch between the AP and the HESH. But on the 120mm gun, you want to run advanced loader, the camo net, and optics. Optics to be able to spot for yourself again, camo net to make the camo better, and the advanced loader to make the insane DPM that this tank has absolutely just mental generally. And with the camo and the camo crew, like you've seen in the Achilles, and with the camo net, you do get the camo down to 302 meters of still concealment in the Conway, which is actually really good. Well, it's pretty good, anyway, for a tank destroyer. It's not phenomenal for a tank destroyer like you've seen in some of the other tanks, because this is where you do lose camo. The Conway is the beginning of the loss of camo for the gun and the way the gun is. But you do get 302 meters of camo, which is still pretty decent. So in this game, on Lakeville, we did take the middle road. We're up to 3.8k damage, and we're just farming away as if we can. This Minuteman obviously doesn't have the best DPM in the universe, and we're just absolutely trashing the poor guy. I knew I was going to take hits, but then I was willing to do it to get rid of it. We are detected here, and I was like, you know what? That tank is in that bush. We actually popped the shot just as he gets spotted, which meant we missed it. But we do get the shot straight through the 87's cupola. Just waiting for the reload, hopefully get the finish off, but we don't quite get that chance. Like I said, this gun is phenomenal. 0.26 accuracy with the setup we've got is great. And as you can see, it just slams the shots in consistently. This gun is Mr. Consistency. And it really does just... It's a beautiful, beautiful gun. The 120mm gun and the British tanks is honestly just phenomenal, and it just works, right? It just works. So, yeah, there's 6 tanks left on the enemy team so far. We're up to 5.4k damage, just trying to get a shot into the equalizer there, but he gets shut down by Turkey. Now we are going after the Jagdpanther. We get a nice shot into the Jagdpanther there, who's just not he's just not aware of what's going off around him, and he gets shut down. Now there's the mutts. We slap the shot into the mutts because, like I say, the shell velocity, you see how fast the shell velocity was there? You have 1,067 meters a second shell velocity on the AP and 1,334 on the premium APCR. The APCR is fantastic. You do have 120mm pen of Hesh, though, by the way, which is something to bear in mind. So if you're using it against slightly armoured targets in the rears of tanks, you can buff your damage up a lot. Or going for the sides of tanks like E50s, but unfortunately that shot didn't go in with the Hesh. But we're going to try and get one into the rear of the 7-1. I'm ignoring the tank destroyer behind me because I thought, well, he's going to be focusing on Turkey. He's going to be focusing on the light tank that's trying to focus him down. We get hit by the E50, and unfortunately the Waffle Panzer IV was not focusing on the light tank that was coming to kill him. He shot us, and unfortunately we got shut down, but we did finish the game with 3 kills, 7.1k damage, 1,000 assistance. The ace tank of the high caliber, the Confederate, 1,863 base XP. A really nice game for the Conway there on Lakeville. Pretty damn good matchmaking though, but it just showed off just how good that gun is, how good that DPM is. You don't have to worry about your penetration, all that good stuff. Honestly, the Conway is a really nice tank destroyer these days. You just got to be very careful in how you use it naturally because you are as big as a house. And you don't really have any armour, which means you're not really going to bounce anything. You have to be aware of that, but if you put yourselves in good positions where you can start farming with that 120mm gun, oh boy. And obviously the meme as well, I've got videos on the Conway already with the big gun, the memes with that big gun, with the Hesh, oh wonderful. And it can be a lovely, lovely tank to play. But now we're at the pinnacle of the line. The tank that's at the top of the list. The FV4005 Stage 2. Now this is my second most played tank in this game at 578 games. Because this was actually my first tier 10 tank destroyer that I got. And that's because, well, obviously back in the day, this tank had phenomenal Hesh. I used to run full Hesh, that's all I ran. I didn't run AP whatsoever. And that's because the Hesh had 275 pen and like 1,750 damage. Which meant that, yeah, you deleted tanks left, right and centre, and it was hilarious. Because, well, yeah, it was just hilarious. But it had some big drawbacks in the fact that you were a barn, you know, you're as big as a barn, you've got no armour whatsoever. Back in the day, you only had 5 degrees of gun depression, which meant that you were exceptionally awkward to actually even get your gun on target. And obviously, being as big as a barn, you have absolutely no camo, which meant that you got spotted all the time. It was a really bloody awkward tank to use a lot of the time back then. The Death Star was the way forward. The 4005 was just awkward. But I loved it anyway, because using that Hesh and getting those filthy penetrating shots with the Hesh was just... it was so satisfying back in the day. And the gun sounded amazing too. And thus, I played it a lot. 578 games in it. It's my second most played tank behind the T49 that's got 630. And yeah, we've always had a great time in it. Now, this first replay is actually just before they buffed the 4005. And you might be going, well, what's the point of showing us the replay before it was buffed? Well, it's still a really good game. And it still shows off exactly how to play the tank. The next replay that you're going to see, the last replay of the video, the next one, is the buff stats. Well, is the 4005 with the buff stats. If you want to see what exactly got buffed on the 4005, it was about, what, 3-4 months back at this point, go check out my video that I did on a replay that Visual sent me, because that man destroyed some things with his 4005, and it was a game. And again, that's not understating it. It was a game. You should go check out that replay. It's just called Visual's 4005 Rampage. Yeah, the game was mental. But I did go over what got buffed on the tank. So in general, the accuracy got buffed. The reload got buffed down to like 27 seconds base. The aim time got buffed to 2.6. And some of the dispersions on the move and turn the turret got buffed as well, which made the gun just slightly more accurate. So naturally, this first replay, like I say, you're not seeing the aim time be better, you're not seeing the DPM be better, but you're still going to see what this tank can accomplish, because this tank can still accomplish some just disgusting things. It is hurt by the fact that AVREs exist, because naturally you get spotted in the 4005, AVREs just go, lunch, and then delete you, which is not a good time, and then you bounce on them or splash them for basically nothing with the, you know, with the Hesh, because you just hit the thing on the front. But you can still have some pretty good games in the 4005. So, yeah, the 4005, in terms of equipment, I do run the advanced loader, the advanced reload, and the advanced optics. Optics, because I do want to try and spot for myself if I can. And you get up to nearly 500 meters view range as well, which is beautiful. Because what you've always got to assume, because you've got 418 meters of still concealment with the camo crew even, is that you are going to get spotted in the FV4005. It's going to happen. So you want to try and make it so that it's a little bit harder to spot you, you know, by making the camo a bit better with the camo crew that you saw from the Achilles. But that you can at least, if you are going to be getting spotted, you can at least try and spot the thing that is spotting you, and thus you can delete it. That's why I run it like that. But the advanced reload, because your AP and HESH are two fantastic rounds. You do have also a standard HE round, which has 92 pen, but it's got 1650 alpha, as opposed to the premium HESH, which has 240 pen these days, but only 1450 alpha damage. So the standard HE is really good to load for splashing things if they've got like 600-700 HP, but it's also good for obviously the lightly armoured tanks like Waffly 100s and other 4005s, because you can maximise the amount of damage you're going to stick into them with that standard HE round. But your standard AP round has 310 pen for 1150 damage, which is fantastic. The penetration is great. It slams in the shot really hard, and it's pretty consistent AP round, if we're honest. The HESH round's 240 pen, like I say, for 1450, and the HESH round is really, really nice for slapping big damage in. It's good for you if you get shots at CGCs and stuff like that, because you can put the shell in, and destroy them in one shot. Like, that's not CGC, that's the tier 9 version. But yeah, it does big damage, and it is so satisfying when those shots go in. It's not as scary as it used to be, naturally, because back when it had 275 pen, it could pen some ridiculous shots, and then it also would take away most of your hit points. But it still splashes for a lot, even if it doesn't pen, and you can still do some big, big damage. And like I said, that AP round is also a ferocious round. You do have that 38 km/h top speed for the 4005 as well, which is not as slow as it used to be. It does make it a little bit quicker than its counterpart, the Death Star, these days, because it did used to have 1 km/h top speed faster than the Death Star, which was always a little bit sad. It did need to be a little bit quicker. But yeah, it does. Well, the buffs that it received make it really, really good these days. It's just the lack of armour which hurt it against certain tanks that come in, like AVREs. So this first game, as you are seeing, we're up to 9,000 damage of 569 assistance. And there is currently 6 tanks left. But most of them, well, pretty much all of them are in that corner. We get spotted by the Iron Arnie, and we're being very, very careful because there is a Type 5 Heavy somewhere, and there's obviously some TDs. We don't want to bleed too many hit points. We are a 4005. You do have to play that little bit more passive, because you will get spotted really easily, you will get farmed really, really easily, and if you try and get out of dodge, you don't particularly have the ability to get out of dodge too easily yourself, so it basically means that you're going to start taking hits, and that's not great. Unfortunately, we get spotted by the M47 Iron Arnie there, and this is we just have to be careful, because we don't want to throw this away too soon. I'm naturally going to get spotted very, very easily if I move forward, but they're not going to really get spotted from that corner at B2, A3, until they fire, which means that I'm going to lose a lot of hit points. But the Andre the Giant does get spotted. We slap the HE round towards him, and unfortunately, just as that HE round flew, Turkey managed to nick the kill. Yes, he kill stole. Oh, what a filthy man. And unfortunately, we didn't quite get the shot in. We do get slapped by something with, I think, HE or something from the back over there. I think that was the Type, and he just didn't pen us, which is very, very lucky. But now we're up to the next ridgeline, which is where we wanted to be. We're trying to see if we could spot them, but unfortunately we get out-spotted, which is always probably going to happen in a 4005. And there's the Agpans. It's like, okay, you know what, let's take the risk. We load the standard HE so we could splash for more damage. Doesn't quite work out. I don't think I'd realised that I'd run out of AP, but we ended up sending the premium HESH round towards the Type 5 Heavy there. We should have just fired the standard HE because we would have done more damage, because it splashes for more because it's got more alpha. But yeah, I don't think I quite realised that I'd actually run out of AP rounds. We're just being careful though, because that Type 4 can actually like one-shot us if we're not careful. So we don't really want that to happen right now. Another shell flew at us there from something at the back. We don't want that to happen. We don't want to throw the game at this point. Turkey's going full send to spot, so it's like, well, okay, let's be ready to shoot something as he spots it, because there is something in those bushes there. It fired a HE round at us. We just want to be ready to fire the shot if we want to. We want to try and crest that 10k if we can. There's the type. Unfortunately, he's just below the ridgeline, so we can't quite see him. And I'm looking at this going, are they going to get spotted? The shots were flying in at Turkey here. But they're not getting spotted, so I'm not quite finding the shot. The Death Star is actually below the ridgeline. The Turan is below the ridgeline. We popped the shot towards the Turan, and unfortunately we fired just a little bit too early, which means we don't quite get the shot into the Turan. Now the two tanks only have 356 hit points. The Death Star gets shut down. The dream of 10,000 damage is going out of the window right here. And that is a sad. I mean, obviously it is out the window. We can't do 10k with what's left on the Turan. And our team is actually getting there far quicker than we will. So, unfortunately, we are not going to get the shot on the Turan there as the E5 shuts him down. We were so close to 10k, but we couldn't be too aggressive because we could just get shut down in one shot. But we finished the game with 3 kills, 9.5k damage, 1179 assistance, the ace tank of the high caliber, 1659 base XP, like I say, a really nice game for the 4005. And while that was before the buffs, it still showed off the tank and what it's capable of, and still that is very much how to play the tank. You'd be very, very careful and just keep finding a position to get those big alpha bombs straight into those tanks because it's great. So as you can see, we've got the buffs on this tank now in this game, and the reload was, what, 20 and a bit seconds in the last game. We're now down to 19.7 seconds in this replay, and obviously that'll get even better when we boost with food. We're on vineyards, so on vineyards what we're going to do is we're going to go to the positions around A5, A6 and try and attack through the A line and then come back down towards the 9-0 line to attack the things that might be camping at J9 from the enemy team. The type T58 Heavy is on the opposite ridge over there, so we've got to be very, very careful that we don't get spotted because we don't want to take those big hits, because naturally the one thing that you want in this tank, especially as the game gets later on, is you want to try and keep your hit points. Keep yourself concealed, keep your hit points so that you can trade effectively, cause especially when it gets later in the game, for those moments where you can take a 400 hit and then dish out 1,000 damage to kill someone. That is something that is very, very nice for the trading element of the tank. So this Conway gets spotted. It's like, can I launch Hesh at this guy's turret and pen it and kill it? Yes, we can. And we delete that Conway there for 1,260, finish him off. But we do take a big hit from the back of the map there at A9. There is something in that corner which hurt, which is not good. There's quite a few high alpha tanks here. So now our guys have pushed into the little dip at A7. We're ready. We're waiting. We're just waiting for the tank to get spotted so that we can deliver a payback shot into them if we can. But they're not. They're just not getting spotted at this point. The 1390 gets spotted up. There's an E100. It might have been that guy who's moved forward. So I decided, okay, you know what, I might take a risk that was the E100 that shot me a minute ago, and I'm just going to pull up now on top of the ridgeline so that if I do fire, I probably will still get spotted, but he's not going to be able to get a shot into us. Those bushes there were where that 1390 was, and there's the Waffle E100. It might have been a big gun Waffle that got shot into us. We're getting the standard HE loaded for the Waffle, for the big alpha bomb that could go in, and it's like, go on, Waffle. Go on, bro. Poke out. Do it. I've got the HE loaded, bro. I just want to shoot you. There's nothing. Don't be scared. Don't be scared, Waffle. I've got the big shell loaded. It's not going to hurt at all. There you are, friend. Oh, 1650. That wasn't even the big HE round. That was the premium hash. That was a high roll and a half. We'll take that. And we're up to 2.8k damage. That was a big hit into that Grilla. Not Grilla. That 4005 next to me just did a big thing into that Grilla. But that was a big hit into that Waffle, and he is out. Now the Waffle E100 is gone from our left, and our friends are starting to turn on that E100. Well, the Waffle E100 has. He gets rid of him. Now we know that there's nothing to threaten us on our left. It's time to move up and try and threaten the guys that might be camping on their hill. Try and get shots at maybe the guys at K5 if we can. But most importantly, move up and progress this game. It is 13-9 currently, which means our team is up. We're just keeping our eye on the right-hand side in case something crops up to be able to shoot. But I decided, you know what, okay, there might still be a lot of stuff camping on their camper hill. Let's see if we can poke round and get a shot at this 1390 there. We do have Hesh loaded for the time, well, for the moment that we can get the shot into him, but he is down in the train tracks. We can't get the shot into him. So we go for the standard HE to not waste our good pen Hesh to splash the T-58 Heavy and get rid of it. Now there's only 7 tanks left on the enemy team, and yet again, we're just getting the next shell in. Got Hesh loaded in case they get spotted on the hill because our team is progressing. 18.3 second reload with the food boost is just dirty for this kind of gun, by the way. But look, our team is progressing. Our team is pushing forward, so we're just waiting because there will be something sat on that hill probably, no doubt. It is vineyards. Things do camp on those hills. So we're just waiting to see if our team do light them up. But currently, nothing's getting spotted, which, to be honest, shocked me. Because I thought, surely something's going to get lit. Surely, but no, nothing has. There's the E100, currently sitting in the cap. The E4 gets spotted in the distance. Like, hello, E4, is that your lower plate, sir? Oh, just sit there, friend. And we slapped the Hesh round straight through his lower plate. He was just trying to clearly get a shot at our friends in the distance. We could have fired AP to guarantee the pen, but I wanted to fire the HE to guarantee the kill. And because of his lower plate was just hanging in the breeze, we knew we could get the shot into that lower plate, and we shot the E4 down with that, putting us on to 4.1k damage. We've now got AP loaded to try and get the shot into the 430 version 2. I switched to Hesh to see if I could splash it because I wasn't going to get the pen, but he gets back out of dodge. We've now got the 1390. I think, do I get the shot into the 1390? No, you know what? Okay, yeah, Mr. 1390, I've loaded AP for you, bro. Come here. Get out of my game. And we get the shot in to kill that 1390. Puts up to 4.9k damage with 4 kills. The Object 430 version 2 is now driving in front of us. The Murat on our left. We don't want to get caught out by that Murat because while we could put in a big shell into the Murat, naturally he can probably, if he high rolls, clip us out, and, you know, being us, we'd probably get unlucky with RNG, and he would clip us out. We're coming in across to get a shot into this 430 version 2, and we didn't really pay any credence to the fact that there was a heavy tank at H2, and that could have been dangerous because it could have been anything, and we didn't really look at it. But we get lucky that the TNH wasn't really bothered about us and got out of dodge. Now the T-58 Heavy's coming in, I'm like, oh god, no. He puts a big shot into us, and at this point I'm thinking, I'm dead unless I roll high enough. And thankfully, RNG says yes. Yes, you can kill that T-58 Heavy. And we get our top gun there on that T-58 Heavy. Beautiful roll on that guy, deleting him and putting us on to 7,040 damage. We really had to prey on our luck there because we obviously with 240 pen we could go through his turret cheek every time. We just had to prey on the luck for that 1450 plus roll, and it went in and we got the kill. We couldn't quite get into position to get the kill on the Murat, but we do finish the game with a really nice total for the pinnacle of the tech tree. 6 kills, 7,040 damage. The ace tanker, the high caliber, the top gun, with 1,624 base XP. A really nice game for the FV4005. Top of the British tank destroyers that have got turrets, and it's a damn meme of a tank. So if you did enjoy the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. We are nearing 7,000 subscribers. And as always, everybody, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
A great success!